Chris, what's going on, man?
Steve, so good to see you.
Me too. It's been a minute, but it's always great having a conversation with you, man.
Likewise. Where are you joining from? What's home base for you, Steve?
I'm near Akron, Cleveland, Akron, Ohio. So, um, we got 3 to 5 inches of snow last night, 2 nights ago. My son had yesterday off for snow. Today he's home at school though, so happy day.
It's early in the season. So New York City is home for me, but I actually flew
Yeah,
out. I'm in sunny Miami right now. So
you poor thing.
yeah, you can't see it, but the sun is lurking through. It's 78 degrees. You have to warm up every now and then, especially during December.
You know, I don't like you right now.
Cheers! I can't
It's
wait for this to kick off.
it, you know it it it's all love. I don't like you, but it's because I'm jealous. It's 100% jealousy. Well, hey everybody. So if you haven't figured it out by now, I'm Steve Taylor. I'm joined by Chris Keith. Chris is from Hirexe. I am from Alternative Payments. Just to let you know a little bit about us before we get started. Um, I was an MSP for over a decade. I've been in IT in some capacity since 2002, so well over 20 years now. Bleh, I feel old. And uh, I don't know, you heard I'm in Akron and I got snow and I don't care for sports, which means it's okay that the Browns keep losing. So, how about you, Chris? Why, why, why don't you tell us about yourself?
So yeah, just quick background on me. Been in the channel not quite as long as you, Steve, but since about 2020, serial entrepreneur. What brought me into the channel was a company called Zorus. We did DNS filtering. I was fortunate enough to work with Ian and Austin McCord, so I met a bunch of Datto folks, and then Brett Sheloff at ConnectWise. I was kind of the face and led all revenue operations at Zorus, so was able to travel quite a bit. Spent a lot of time on the road, got to meet lots of MSPs, and got to know the industry extremely well. So now we're solving the people problem, or doing our best to solve the people problem for the channel. I'm excited to kind of chat through some best practices and everything along those lines with you.
Well, I mean, there's not a people problem though, right? It's not a
Um,
problem.
I don't think, no, you're right. It's not a problem. I guess what I would say is, look, like my background is technology. I'm a technology entrepreneur. A lot of folks in the channel, and what I like most about the channel is they're technology people too.
Mhm.
But what I would argue about, there comes a point in scaling a business that it becomes, less about the product, or the product is still important, but you need the right people to be a part of the business. And that could be from an executive level, it could be from a technician level. Um, and, you know, that's oftentimes it's foreign to people that default to technology. But when you do find the right people, it helps scale an organization, or frankly, like makes an organization a lot more effective. So it's been fun using technology to help solve those problems for folks in the channel, and that's what I'm enjoying at the moment.
It's really awesome, man. All right. So, let's see. I am gonna share my screen as promised. Too many windows, guys. Too many windows. There we go. Hi. So, today we are talking all about hiring. And I think the technical term is we want to do it more gooder. Um, so we talked about introductions a little bit. We are going to talk a lot about hiring, and then just a heads up, we do have a survey when the webinar is over or when you exit. If you let us know how we did, you will be entered for a chance to win a $250 Amazon gift card. That drawing will be on January 2nd, I want to say, because I'm off the 1st. So, with that said, let's dive in, man. So, what what kind of pain do you guys feel when you're hiring people? This, I just want to clarify. This only works really well when it's a two-way conversation in like the chat or something. So, let us know in the chat what's the most frustrating part about trying to hire a new person, regardless of what the position is. I don't care if they're accounting, office manager, sales, marketing, L1 tech, L3 tech, automation extraordinaire, whatever title you give them. I suspect finding a person, vetting them, hiring them, and then still feeling good about it and not having buyer's remorse. It all feels roughly the same, no matter no matter what position you're filling. All right. So what do you think, Chris? Like what's the common frustration that you're seeing when MSPs are trying to hire people? And is it a problem that's fixable?
Yeah. Well, that's a great question, Steve. Let me take a few steps back, and frankly, it helps to describe like a little bit of the genesis of how I came up with and started to build Hirexe. So, we're flying across the country. You're going to the IT nations, the DattoCons, the Kaseya, the IT Connects, and um, if there's one thing that I realized with MSPs, it almost felt like there was a little bit of software or vendor fatigue. I think all of us as vendors kind of chuckle about that, but it was very real with MSPs. And at the end of the day, I think what a lot of channel and business owners are actually more comfortable with is the software stack. Like their background is IT. They've been operating as a break fix shop since the early 2000s or even before that. And of course, like their business has progressed in its transition to managed services, but kind of the one key piece in all that is as technologies has shifted, of course, like your ability to scale the organization that has shifted as well. So there are different skill sets. There are different types of people that you need for different types of role. For instance, the personality of someone that you have in the back office is going to be completely separate from the personality of someone that you have in the front office.
Sure.
How are you interviewing? How are you quantifying all of those sorts of roles? But I think what we run into, or what a lot of like channel partners that I've seen is really like you can distill it down to a few key things. And that was,
Mhm.
if I've had this conversation once, I've had it 250 to 2,500 times. And that was, okay, Chris, we need people, and I'm going to say this tongue in cheek, but with an it quality, and that it quality is twofold. Number one, they're
Are you sure they're
sophisticated.
not just emailing you and forgetting to capitalize IT? Just want to clarify. Okay.
Of this, I am certain.
Okay.
So on the it side, number one is, okay, we need them to be like technically sophisticated, not just with IT roles, but specifically with channel, with like the technology stack that we use in the channel, but then the workflow and the velocity that we experience in the channel too, because it's not a corporate IT job. There's a lot more going on. There's more velocity. It's all over the place. So that it thing is extremely important. And then the other aspect, particularly if it's more of a front office or like an L1, L2, L3 tech, is we need people to be personable. And inevitably, when they get on the phone with our clients, we want them to be able to provide an experience that is an extension of our organization. So they can communicate effectively. There is empathy that's associated, because all of us know that a lot of the users that call into our technicians sometimes aren't the most sophisticated. So you have to be able to very calmly and empathetically help people troubleshoot and get to answers, stuff like that. And I think But just the reality is, like, finding those sorts of people, especially like in that L1 role, is difficult because it's two different types of brains, highly technical yet highly empathetic. So
Yeah. Hmm. Okay. Okay. So then how do we like magically find all the right people? Because I mean, you're making it when you give me all of these requirements, I mean, it makes it a lot harder. And how do you so a lot of these things are like soft skills that it seems like something you have to interview for. So how can you somehow magically weed out people before you have to spend time? Like, is there a way to like, oh, you know what? These people didn't follow all the instructions. So they're not detail oriented. So I'm just automatically going to deny them. Like is that a thing that you're supposed to do? Because I think we got like over 1,000 applications when we put up a job posting for something in marketing, and that seems like a lot of people to sift through.
that is a ton of people to sift through. Can
Yeah,
confirm.
yeah.
Anyone who's ever done that. So I remember Steve. Honestly, it was at Zorus 5 years ago. Myself and Ian had just came in. We had raised a few $1 million of venture capital. We were really excited. I was building out the go to market and sales organization, and I remember, it was a cybersecurity company. We were high flying. The first job that I put up, we got 2,500 applicants in under 24 hours. And at first glance, it's like, oh, this is incredible. Great. Like, we're going to be able to find people. And then 5 to 10 minutes in, and you've went through, maybe 50 resumes, of which none of them were good. You quickly realize, oh my gosh, this is going to be a full-time job just going through the screening before we even get on the phone with anyone. So
Yeah.
what I would say is, number one, there is no magic bullet, right? Like, hiring is time intensive, and especially, weeding people out or finding the right people, it's going to take time. Now, luckily, there are tools that you can use that speed up that process. We can get into those if that's something you're interested in.
I'd be interested in having a conversation about the tools. So we're not talking about tools like indeed.com where that's just a place for you to list a job. You're talking about tools that actually help you automate reviewing the resume and seeing if they're a good fit, or at least a good enough fit for you to, I don't know, put eyeballs on it.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So, the aspect of the hiring process that we're talking about right now, what I call is like the pre-screening stage. So that is when you have this massive pool of people that have, let's say, like, applied to the job that you've put up. You have to think in that aspect of the process. Your job is to get to know as fast as humanly possible. So any sort of system, anything that you can put in place to help get to know, is going to be valuable, because the chances are that the vast majority are not going to be a fit for your organization. So the quicker you can figure that out, the more you're just going to save time. Now, what what I've done, what I found, tends to work better, and this is just something that I feel very strongly about. I don't like resumes. I think resumes are dead. Resumes haven't, frankly, changed a whole lot. Do you know who invented, or who is credited with inventing the first resume, Steve?
Please tell me somebody crazy like King James.
So almost, it was Leonardo da Vinci. So he was in some small town, and he wanted to go to Milan to be like an industrial engineer to help the city of Milan from being attacked. So essentially put together his resume for the Duke of Milan, saying, "Hey, you should hire me to come in and architect the defenses of the city." Ended up getting hired, but he's he's credited with inventing the first resume. The irony is, it hasn't really changed a whole lot since then. So I think Resumes are, it's a static look. It's not dynamic. It doesn't capture who you are. It doesn't capture who you're interested in. It doesn't
Right.
frankly capture like what you're passionate about. It's a static look at what you've done in the past. There's a handful of logos that exist there. Um,
Mhm.
you can't see people. You can't hear them. They don't, they're not able to articulate. So um, just like really low hanging fruit that we utilize really heavily, that I think is only a matter of time. And frankly, we're seeing it with younger demographics, like people coming into the workforce ages 18 to 25, like a more digitally native sort of resume that exists. And frankly, that this is something that I feel really strong about, that we're building internally. It's kind of our first product, is a resume that includes um, first of all, like a standardized view on who someone is, not just what they've done in the past. Video answers about them describing their most proud professional achievement. And then actual agentic interviews where they're asking or they're answering specific questions on a per role basis. It just helps you get a much further or a much like you know, a much more like 365-degree view of who someone is, not just a static page on a resume. Is that, you know what I mean?
Yes. So if if an MSP were interested in taking all this on themselves, obviously, and instead of outsourcing this to a company like yours, you would probably say every time they post a job, they're going to get inundated with resumes and you know probably recruiters and whatever else, right? So uh what about like an ATS? Is that a thing that's helpful? And is that something that only like bigger MSPs can afford? Can a smaller MSP, maybe a one or two people, justify something like Breezy HR or Workable or Recruity to help them, with custom disqualification triggers and customizable knockout questions and auto screening and whatever else?
Yeah. Um, so my vantage point on ATSs is they're stuck in a web 2.0 world, whereas now, like in like web 3.0, and frankly everything that's AI integrated, there's a lot more sophisticated systems that exist that are a lot more useful than what ATSs are. So essentially, what an ATS does is it just helps you like aggregate a bunch of resumes and make things a little bit easier. But the ATS isn't dynamic, where there's not going to be audio and video information that they are actively asking for, aggregating and putting all together. So so that's number one. Number two is oftentimes the ATS is asking for a little bit more information from the candidate, but it's still not the information that the hiring manager is generally looking for, that's helping you get past or get to that pre-screening call. Um, so one of the things that I like most about forcing people or having them do that video interview, both on them answering specific questions, and then like something that's fully agentic, where they're having a dialogue, a conversation, not just recording a question answer sort of session, is like, Steve, you know that, like, even preparing for this chat right here, there's work that's associated. If you're going on camera, you have to, number one, make sure that you look presentable. Number two, make sure that you have a few talking points ready. Number three,
Mhm.
sound sophisticated, be ready to be dynamic. What I've found is that frankly, like, that is a massive, that's signal. That's a massive screening tool for us. If people are willing to upload their resume, answer a few questions, like go the ATS route, like type a few more things in on their keyboard, then we get to the point where we're asking them for video question answering, or actually having them get on a pre-screening call with an AI agent, and there's pushback there, or people aren't willing to do it. That's huge signal on the hiring side. So what we found is um, that is like, it's a really nice actual automatic screener where, oof, man, it's really like, Steve, it's really easy if someone's applying for jobs, you go on LinkedIn, you automatically apply to 50, 100 different roles. That's easy to do. putting something together, going that extra mile, specifically with that video interview type stuff, that's a lot harder. That means
Mhm.
that you have buy-in from the candidate side. And I think that that is extremely, extremely valuable. Both number one is just like a natural screening tool, but number two, that's what hiring managers are looking for. That saves them that time. That lets them know, oof, is this person going to be a particular fit for my organization, for my specific team, working with my customers or not? That's not captured in most ATSs or on resumes at all.
Okay. So let's pivot a little bit. And so it sounds like there are some helpful tools out there, and it almost sounds like there's not necessarily one tool that, rules them all, so to speak. There's not a Lord of the Rings here. Um so with that, this makes my brain hurt, Chris. Just thinking about thousands of resumes or thousands of candidates, it makes my brain hurt. So we could look at something like Breezy HR or Test Gorilla or whatever, but that's just going to be a piece of the puzzle. We still are going to need like maybe a tool like My Interview or Spark Hire. That way the candidates can record one-way video responses, and it'll help MSPs assess soft skills, tone, clarity, attitude, all that kind of stuff. So, all right. So we've talked about some tools, and without those tools, you're just going to be doing a lot of hard work anytime you want to hire somebody. It's still going to be a lot of work, and it might be hard, but it's going to be substantially less work if you invest in some of these tools. And I suspect investing in these tools is still going to be a heck of a lot cheaper than investing in like a full-time people ops or HR or hiring or whatever title you want to give that person, right? So would you agree with all of that, Chris?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it depends on the velocity and the amount of hires that someone's going to be able to make or is planning on making. It's funny, like we talk about software fatigue on the technology stack for MSPs. Like that same software fatigue exists, I think, like on the HR or on the hiring side as well. So um, there definitely there is like a hiring stack that I think makes sense for folks, and then you're going to be paying like a couple $100, like max a couple $1,000s a month. Whereas if you do like make that full HR or people investment, or even if you just go the standard, recruiting route, it gets expensive very, very quickly. But the trade off there is, Steve, like, there's time that's associated too. So if you as the business owner have the bandwidth, um, then maybe it does make sense for you to invest in that software technology stack, but know that it's going to take you some time to, get up and running. Um, Whereas if you have someone like completely, manage that entire thing, then you could go that route too.
And I guess that also really depends on what your goals are for growth and scale, right? So if you're like, I've got enough work that I could bring somebody else on and it's not going to negatively impact finances enough that I don't want to do it. But I'm not really going out there and selling a lot. I don't really have a plan for growth or scale. What would you say to that guy? What's the route they should take?
Yeah. Yep. Great question. I think so in that particular situation, if it's just gonna be like a one-off hire or a couple type of folks, number one, you never want to skimp on hiring. So you finding the right person is going to potentially like change the trajectory of your business. So I would always default to, doing whatever you have to do to find that individual. So work with a recruiter, work with a firm, work with someone who like truly knows and understands the vertical MSP IT space. That's going to be vital. Um, I think in that circumstance, it makes way more sense for you to have some sort of a partner rather than build out your HR technology stack and like put a bunch of systems and processes in place. You might save yourself a little bit of money if you go down the latter route, but at what
Mhm.
cost? Because you're going to have to spend a ton of time, effort, and energy, learning these new systems just to use them once or twice. At that point, it's like, it's tough to justify that. It doesn't scale that nicely, you know?
Gotcha. Okay. So we've talked about some tools. You've said the resume's dead. Um, what what would you say to the MSP who they're on a crazy growth trajectory? So they're like, you know what? We want to hire someone full time, and their only role is to find talent, bring them on board, develop processes around that whole thing. Maybe that role is also responsible for onboarding, and I get real fuzzy like where that role ends. Like I don't know if that role is also like an employee handbook type of role, or you know what I mean, but like I'm sure there are other things that that person can be doing when you're not actively trying to hire somebody. But I suspect for an MSP that's on a growth trajectory, they're probably looking to hire a few people a year, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Without a doubt. I mean, we work with with the handful of partners that aren't hiring a few people a year. They're hiring, 20, 30, 40 people a year. And it's
Did you tell
interesting
them
that
to
you,
stop it?
no, no, no. We highly
You
encourage that sort of
you
behavior.
encourage this behavior, right?
That's right. Yeah. But it's interesting that you bring that up, Steve. And I can give you a specific example for one of our larger MSP partners. And and I think that what we will see moving forward is this sort of a setup. So just in general, as a business owner, like I'm a big believer in frankly how Hirexe started was I believe in solving like problems that I myself have had as I built and scaled companies because I know for a fact that other people have had the exact same issue. And the number one issue that I'm passionate about is finding undiscovered talent. So that's people that, you know, might not have, a resume where they have, they've worked at a massive MSP for years, but man, they really like IT type stuff. They are willing to work their ass off. They like are just naturally intellectually like curious about IT and they have like a little bit of success, but they're willing to, like grow within an organization. So oftentimes like on paper, they might not seem like the best L1 tech, but man, if you give them the right opportunity at the right organization, they will grow with that organization. I get really excited about that. Like finding those sorts of people that undiscovered talent. But it's hard to do if all you do is look at their resume, right? So I'd say that's number one. Number two is the hardest thing and frankly the most frustrating thing about the hiring process at large is Steve, there's a huge difference between interviewing and then actually doing a job. So you could be the perfect
That is
person on
so true.
paper. You could be the most articulate person in an interview. You could, have the best answers to questions that you've ever heard. But man, day one, when you have to get down in the trenches and you are there's live bullets coming at you with customers calling with all sorts of tech issues, and your work ethic isn't there, or you just crumble underneath that pressure. It's impossible for you to know that as a hiring manager or as an organization about a person until they're working with you. So what I've found, and what these larger MSPs actually really like is it's almost a it's like a trial sort of period. And what that means is, okay, we're starting off, we're beginning this working relationship. But like both sides are very clear, like there's a very specific onboarding process. And we're holding you accountable. My organization actually helps hold the resource accountable. And it really like when there are specific like onboarding structures in place and everyone knows like, hey, here are the expectations. Are we meeting them or are we not? It helps people, number one, um, coach people up. So oftentimes, like, a lot of, larger organizations that onboard a lot of people generally have pretty good onboarding, and they have sophistication that's in place. But a lot of smaller MSPs, Steve, this, if they don't hire a ton of people, they're just or there isn't a like, like a very strict onboarding regimen. Um, you know, Folks need help with that. So that's something that we can certainly help with. But what's also nice is when you're in that position where you're coaching people up, or sometimes if it doesn't work out, you can coach people out. Working with a partner or having, frankly, like a deep bullpen of talent that's ready to go. If for whatever reason this person doesn't work out, and it doesn't happen that often, but it does happen, that's a huge weight off the shoulders of that organization, of that hiring manager. Because Steve, there's nothing worse than, and all of us who are executives, all of us who have started a business, like have felt that pain where it's just like, oh my gosh, I've just spent the last 90 days of my life like finding, screening, recruiting, making an offer
Yeah,
to this person. And you're 3 days in and you're just like, oh my gosh, he's not the guy or he's not the girl. If
that's the
you can,
worst.
if you have some sort of a partner that's just like, hey, yeah, we're with you. Here's like three more people that we think could be that person, rather than you individually starting over at ground zero. That's powerful.
Yeah. So let's talk about what are some things that an MSP should have in place before they post a job. And I would say before they post their first job, but let's pretend they've already hired somebody. Mistakes were made, events transpired. Let's just dust off and do it right this time. What do they need to do before posting the job?
Yeah. So
Ooh,
this
actually,
yeah.
let's pause on that. Let's pause on that. It's 12:30. We're halfway in. So that's the question we're going to answer in 5 minutes. But first, we are going to take a break and we are going to tell you a little bit about what each of us do as a company. Uh, I've got my screen shared, so I will take the pleasure of going first. So, since we're talking about hiring smarter, let me show you how to get paid smarter too. At Alternative Payments, we help MSPs get out of the billing grind and back to doing, well, literally anything else. Your clients are going to get a clean, simple portal where they can log in, view invoices, update payment methods, even enable autopay. Think of it like set it and forget it, except no one forgets to pay you. Behind the scenes, it's fully automated. Invoices go out, reminders follow up, payments come in, and everything reconciles back to your PSA and accounting. We sync with QuickBooks, Xero, FreshBooks, NetSuite. I think we integrate with more accounting platforms than any other MSP focused accounting or accounts receivable automation platform available today. And all this is so to help prevent your team from being stuck copying and pasting line items or chasing down reports at 4:59 on a Friday. Uh, so there's going to be a quick poll coming up, and in that poll, that's going to be your shortcut to getting a closer look at alternative payments and how we can save you time and maybe even some money. And we will definitely be able to help you get paid a little bit or maybe even a lot a bit faster than you already currently are. And all you have to do is say a conversation couldn't hurt, and we will be in touch. Thank you guys. Chris, I mean, I feel like you've snuck it in quite a bit, but tell why don't you tell everybody what it is that Hirexe does and how you help MSPs?
So high level, my job is to leverage technology to transition the hiring process from an active hunt to a passive recommendation experience. How we do that is multifold. But number one, we're leveraging AI extremely heavily. We put together, or what we've built as a proprietary, we call our real CV product. That is think of it as a dynamic highlight reel that exists for everyone that applies to be on our platform. So far, we've processed about 450,000 applicants. We've platformed approved 1,400 of them this year. And throughout that process, we get about 8 to 10,000 unique structured data points on people's personality. So they upload their resume. We scrape everything that exists online about them. There's video interviews. There's video questions being answered. Then we put all that together. Then in that database, we automatically make best fit recommendations for MSPs. We're vertically focused just on the MSP market um, as those come in. So what I also say is, 50% of our job is finding MSPs really high quality talent in the shortest amount of time possible. The other 50% is making them a productive member of your organization as fast as humanly possible. So as I mentioned, that 90-day onboarding process, we work extremely closely with our partners,
Yeah,
making sure that folks get up to speed as fast as humanly possible, coaching up or coaching out if we have to. And that the results have been great. Everything is month to month as well. Don't lock anyone into long-term commitments or anything like that. Um, we do full staff augmentation. So you guys pay us the one fee. We take care of everything, all the HR, all the management on the back end. Just again, make it as easy as possible for everyone. So happy to
that's
chat more.
incredible. That's incredible. All right, I am going to end my poll. I'm going to start another poll just for you, Chris. So, if you guys are interested in a conversation with Chris, or about how Hirexe could help your MSP streamline the hiring process, maybe make it suck a whole lot less, if you could please answer that poll, that would be super great. Meanwhile, while you guys are doing that, we're going to continue our conversation. So, Chris, I rudely asked you a question and then cut you off. So now let's go back to it. What are some things an MSP should do before posting their next job?
Yep. Yep. Um, so first and foremost, and this is oddly enough, this is something like when we begin working with a new partner, um, you, I'd recommend that people think long and hard about what the actual day to day of the job that they're hiring for is going to be doing. Because oftentimes, people will post a job and the job like isn't very specific. So they don't even call out exactly what their technology stack is. Or oftentimes the business owner, it'll be a pain point that they've had, but it's not necessarily a full-time job. So there could be 40% or 50% or 60% of this text time is going to be handling inbound issues that they come in, but there might be additional time that they could be working on or doing something else at the organization. So what I recommend first and foremost is think long and hard about, 40 hours a week is a lot. Make sure that you have that time frame completely like built up for that person and be as specific as possible. It's the classic anything AI related, better data in, better data out. So have that job description be very specific about not only what the technology stack looks like, but what's the type of person is that you're looking for, why they would be interested or why they should be interested in your organization. All that stuff really does matter, especially when you're trying to find the right person. So I'd say that's number one. Number two, because it's a heck of a lot easier to do this prior to the folks starting, but putting together or working with a partner that can help you put together not only an onboarding progression, but what success looks like for that sort of role. So let me break that down. The onboarding progression. Okay, week one, month one, a 30, 60, 90-day plan. It's really, really useful when someone starts. It's like, okay, for the first week or two, you're just going to be getting up to speed. But by day 30, by day 60, by day 90, if you're not checking these boxes, if you're not capable of doing all of these things, we need to reassess. Because all of us know if that sort of thing isn't in place before the person starts, you get 90 days in and you're bailing water and you got busy with this other stuff. You just landed a brand new account. You forget all of that. So having those specific structures in place prior, I think is extremely, extremely important. And then number two, building the specific like SOPs and onboarding processes before the person starts, as well is extremely important. So what I recommend is whether it's an executive assistant and you're helping out the actual business owner, or it's your other IT techs, put together a massive folder of all of the stuff that you are going to be training this person on and record you building the actual training materials. So record you going into your RMN, record phone calls, record building out an FAQ, all of that, like all of those sorts of things. The more robust training material that you can have recorded, so it's not like you have the person sitting over your shoulder every day, or you have them listening into calls. Any sort of evergreen material that you can create that this person's going to be that they're going to have to do, that they're going to have to be utilizing to get up to speed. Not only is that going to save you time, but it's going to allow that person to digest that on their own terms. And then ideally, as your business continues to grow and scale, you have that evergreen content. You don't have to make it again and again and again. You have that, like you have it built once, and then you can, like, as more people come on board, you can just reference them there. I think that's a handful of things that a lot of people don't have, that just makes life so, 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 so much easier when you have new people starting.
So you don't recommend hiring somebody and saying, I have no idea what you're supposed to do or how to onboard you. Let's figure it out together.
That's correct. And it sounds silly, but look, you know how busy life gets for business owners, particularly with MSPs. Um, you, we want there to be some strategy and things to be thought out, and just guide rails in place.
I don't know, man. It all just sounds like a lot of work. Can't I just not? Can I just not?
Steve, you can do whatever you want. You're bringing me in. You're bringing me in, and all that I can do is share some context with you. At the end of the day, it's your world. This is your show.
You're right. You're right. All right. So we've done some things to set up hiring somebody. We've potentially gotten some software to help us through the navigation of uh, resumes and videos and everything else. Now we're ready to interview. So you're going to tell me that some interview questions are more important than others, and it's not the ones that people traditionally have thought are the most important, right?
That's correct. Yeah. So what I feel pretty strongly about this. Now, of course, interviewing is nuanced, and there's a bunch of different levels to it. And of course, and frankly, we let our partners figure this out themselves. Like for instance, your technology stack, you should have a technical interview lined up, or have them interview with one of your more sophisticated technicians, and have them asking about whether it's networking or backup, or like whatever it is. Make sure that if you're interviewing L3 folks, that technically they can keep up. But again, it's tough to generalize that. You have to make sure that they're going to work for your organization, and what the specific role is that you're looking for. Now
Okay.
on the personality, or go ahead.
No, no, please.
Yeah. Now on the personality or on the aptitude side, the breakdown that I try to give, or how I think I best try to frame this is your job your job in an interview is really kind of twofold. Like, it's impossible for you to figure out exactly like how high someone's ceiling is, but you want to, number one, see, like, generally you can like figure out what people's floor is, but you want to see, like, how high is their ceiling, like what are they really really capable of, number
Mhm.
one. And then number two, like, what's really important for me is, are they obsessed or not? Because someone who's obsessed is, they're going to go above and beyond, making sure that, if they're interacting with the customer, that they're going to fix whatever that customer, like whatever that problem is. If they're obsessed, they are going to be intellectually curious about figuring out, ooh, what is truly the best way for us to solve this technology problem, not just what's the path of least resistance, what's the easiest way for me to get to an answer here. So that obsession and effort piece, I'd like to ask questions where they're broad, they're open ended, and you see where people go. So that would be an
Mhm.
example of, give me, Steve, tell me about a time where you you had you had a goal, or you had a key objective, and you didn't just meet or exceed that goal. You blew it out of the water. Why, and how did you do that?
Right. That's a
Let's have some
that's a
fun with
big
this.
question.
So answer it.
And I don't like I I don't feel adequately prepared to answer this, man. That's a hard question. And the reason I say that is because for me, like I think my brain works weird, man. Like
Mhm.
I can't just like sift through things and be like, "Oh, I know this is the exact story he's looking for." Like I can't think of a single thing, not a single one. And it's not because I don't ever exceed goals or crush it or any. It's just like here's an example. I've used this several times in past office hours, but if you've ever been in a BNI, Business Networking International group, it's the goal is to convince people to give you referrals so that way you can get more business. Well, they always say you need to be more specific. So you can't walk in there as an MSP and be like, I want to do business with companies that have computers. You know what I mean? Like, what company doesn't have a computer? My Rolodex is just spinning, right? So then you say, all right, I want to do business with law firms in Akron. All right, I know a law firm in Akron. I can say, do you know XYZ and Associates? Yes or no? Oh yeah, that'd be a great one. I'd love to work with them. And then we can do an introduction. Or even better, hey, I'd love an introduction to whoever is the decision maker for Cleveland Clinic, Akron General Hospital. That way I can sell, like the more specific you are with the ask, the more likely people are going to be to just like the Rolodex stops spinning and they can just grab the card and hand it to you. That's so my point with all of that is how do we make your questions operate in the same way? Because that that was an overwhelming question for me, probably because I didn't, people usually prepare for interviews. I'm not at all
That's right.
prepared
Yeah.
for this. And I wouldn't even know what to say. I would bomb this interview right now.
Well, so here, I can answer it for you, because frankly, like, I just went through it with getting all this set up for alternative payments. So,
Mhm.
like, an easy one would be, okay, so Chris, I am hosting this podcast in the MSP channel, and it is all about truly adding value to our partners. Um, I'm naturally really good at this. I've been doing it for a long time. Uh, Alternative Payments has helped me build a killer team where I'm going to get on the phone with you. We're going to have a 30-minute conversation talking about, um, what it is, like where the conversation is going to lead. Then my team is going to ask your team for a couple photos of yourself. We're going to talk about what we want the title of this to be. Then we're going to put together a bunch of marketing paraphernalia. We're going to make it really, really easy for you to, mass send like a bunch of information. And then you and I are going to get on the phone or get on a video call. We're going to have a fantastic chat, and we have, you know, whatever the results that you've had with this thing, like for like you, I know, Steve, that you're obsessed with, putting together content like this, having these sorts of conversations, and the experience that you've made, like for me as a vendor, just getting on this show would be an example of something just like that. Um,
Okay.
but like
See, and
for people,
I don't know. To me, like that just feels like a Tuesday, right? So that, I mean, what you're saying is, oh, Steve, the way you've built out this whole process to like find people and develop and whatever for these webinars we're doing, that's phenomenal. Like that is huge. And I don't disagree, but I don't know. It's hard for me to feel like that's a quantifiable thing because I don't know, it's just what I do. It doesn't feel like I'm doing something epic and awesome. It just feels like a Tuesday. I don't know, man. You're probably right. I'm probably doing something awesome. And maybe I need to remind myself that every now and then.
yeah, I guess that's what I would just say is when you find people that are like great or obsessed, like what what looks like work to other people feels like play to them, or it just feels like normal day-to-day operations. But when you can pull that out of someone in an interview, that's always really, really high signal for me. Because when you can get them talking on something that's so sophisticated, so unique, and like frankly so complex, and they just rattle off like, oh yeah, I did all this stuff, like that's just what I do. It was a random Tuesday. For me, it's just like, ooh, like that we can work with. And of course, it's like that applies to all roles. Like it could be an L1 technician, it could be a marketing person, it could be, a VP of sales or some other executive. But I ask those broad, open-ended questions to try to draw that out of people. What I
Yeah.
don't like, Steve, is getting on interview. So I guess here's the other thing that I would say to people is get to a level where you want to make the other person feel comfortable or confident so that it doesn't feel like you're in an interview. Because the more quickly that you can actually start having a real conversation with people, you'll see their true colors. They'll let their guard down a little bit. They'll be more honest about things, like both good and bad. Like again, like that's high signal either way. So I'd say like between those two, those are, I think, like the two like top tips that I would give folks is make them feel comfortable, and then ask those broad, open-ended questions and see like where can you find like like they truly achieve something, or where their obsession is, or where they're truly great and why.
This is fantastic advice. Now, were you serious? You've gone through 450,000, what did you say, candidates, resumes?
Yes, we've had 400. I think it's like 444,000 folks apply so far this year. Yeah.
Now, how do you know that all of those applications are real people?
Yeah. So our technology helps us with that. So in order for folks to, so there's a huge difference between applying and then getting onto the platform, hence the delta in 400,000 and then 1,400 of them being on. So we have the first step of the process is people create that real CV. So they're uploading their resume. We're scraping everything that exists online about them. And then we are actually getting a bunch of additional personal information. We're coaching them up on how to improve their resume. And then we standardize what that looks like. That's step number one. assuming that everything makes sense there, then they're having to upload those video questions. So at that point, that's where the rubber meets the road. If you're not uploading that video, we can't see you, we can't hear you. That's not going to be approved. You're not going to get on the platform too. Then lastly is that agentic screening call that we have. Then after all of those boxes are checked, we call it our final multi-factor authentication. At that point, someone from my team is going to be interacting both with the candidate and the real CV that's created for final approval onto the platform.
Hmm.
So
Now,
yeah. But what that process does is it puts the onus on the candidate. There's no way that, so we don't have a ton of recruiters. We have 2 recruiters internally. No way that they would have been able to process through all those applicants if we didn't have all that technology baked in. So it puts the onus on the candidate. What that means is we have a bunch of candidates that fall out, but again, that's signal. That's a screening process in itself. So you know that someone that makes it through all that, like they're gonna be a hard worker because we intentionally make it difficult.
okay. Now, so since you said 450,000, that is a big number. Did you know that the population of Belize is 417,000?
I did not.
The Bahamas has less than that. Iceland has less than the Bahamas. Barbados, Micronesia, Dominica, St. Kitts and Nevis, Liechtenstein, Vatican City. You have interviewed more people than 26 countries have as a population in the world. Not combined, but each of them have less than. And in fact, of those 26, the 11 smallest add up to 403,000. You have interviewed or gone through more candidates than 11 nations' population combined. That's impressive, man.
Thanks.
It's impressive.
I appreciate you putting that together. I'm going to have to add that into some sales collateral.
Yeah, that I would say is, you know, pretty it's a pretty big that is a pretty big deal, you know? Uh oh, here you go. I've done over 600 of these now.
You have? Wow. Okay, that's incredible too.
Yeah. So, now that I'm thinking about numbers, like, oh, that one just came to mind. Like, oh, that I guess that is an impressive number. Yeah, I've done over 600 of these now. It's insane. Well, hey guys, we're gonna wrap up here in a minute, but I'm gonna open the floor. Does anyone have questions before we wrap it up? Now is the time. Speak now or forever hold your peace. I think that's what they say, right? When you're in a webinar. Definitely not anything else.
Hey, you're the 600 webinar expert here. You would know better than me. I'm just along for the ride, Steve.
When you call me an expert, it makes me feel a little extra special right here. All right. I see no questions. Uh, you can type, oh wait, I have one, and then we'll give you a minute to type, but it does not look like we have any questions. So I'll start wrapping up. Tomorrow we have one more for the week. I have Harrison Barron coming on, and we are going to talk about setting up your marketing plan for 2026. And I think that one's going to be fantastic. Next week we have Halo PSA joining us, and we're gonna show off some pretty cool tech inside of Halo PSA. And we've got a couple of other fantastic webinars happening next week, and we still have more than 5 for the rest of the year. We are closing out December strong, folks, and our goal is to just keep on educating. So keep on showing up to these, and we're going to keep having great conversations. Chris, it was a pleasure as always to have you on here, man.
Steve, you're the man. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. All right, everybody. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and take care.